I remember there was something in like a German magazine or something about this being like a story about a father. Can you say anything about that? Like a father's love for his child or something like that? Is that just completely off base?
I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
Do you have questions I can answer? It would
I
help
got, I
me.
got a lot of questions. Don't worry, we'll get to them. We know that the characters can each die, as you've been talking about. But if each one dies, the game continues, even after all four die, right?
No, if the four characters die, this is the end of the story. It's not a game over situation, it's really the end of the story, and you will see the final consequences of that. But if one character dies, I mean, you can continue with the others. You know, this idea came from the fact that we always found that game over situations were quite frustrating for gamers, because in fact you die and you need to go back to your save games and play again and again and again until you finally succeed and the story can go on. Here we wanted to find a way to make that dying is just a part of the story. So you don't have to replay again, you just need to continue with the consequences of your choices and actions.
I'm looking for the owner of a blue Chevrolet Malibu 83. I don't give a damn how the car got here, or whether you stole it or not. I just want to know who bought it from you.
You trying to scare me with your big talk? I never saw your damn car. Now take a walk.
How does the save system work? I mean, will you, if you choose one way and then you don't like what happens, can you go back, or is he set for that game, that playthrough?
Well, we don't want to frustrate players. We will want to go back and play again, but we hope to convince players to continue with the consequences of their actions, because this is what will make your story unique and different from your friend who played the same games and maybe saw things you didn't see, and maybe you saw things you didn't see. So we hope to convince the player much more than trying to force him to play it in a way or another.
So there will be multiple save slots?
There will be different save slots, and but we will encourage the player to play it the way it's supposed to be played.
I'm curious kind of how you got the idea to start this in the first place. Was there anything you can look at that was like an inspiration? It was like, hey, you know, I can do that differently, back before you kind of started experimenting with these kind of narrative games?
Well, regarding Heavy Rain and Indigo before, there were two aspects, I guess. The first thing was about what need can we create in the market? Not what does the market expect, but what new need can we create? My feeling was that there was a serious lack of content for a more adult audience. We create a lot of games for kids and teenagers, but there's nothing for a more mature audience. And many people stopped playing just because they couldn't find the right content. They were hardcore gamers until they were 20 or 25, and they stopped suddenly. Most of the time when you ask them why, it's because they couldn't find any content. They got the feeling of playing the same games over and over again. And also the test changed through time, because you don't play with the same thing, you don't read the same books, or you don't watch the same new movies when you're 10, when you're 15, when you're 20 or 30. And with games, it's really strange, but there is only one category of games, which is teenagers and maybe kids. So we wanted to create a content that would address this, because I'm 40 years old this year, and
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. It happens to everyone, you know. But I couldn't find any content that I would have interest in as interactivity. So that was the idea. And the second thing is about content. I wanted to tell a story that was more personal, probably related to my personal experience. I'm a father of 2 kids, and it changes many things in your life when you have kids.
You got me, officer. I'll come clean. Now that car, she buff up real good. I painted her dangerous.
Are there any? I'm just curious. Any games at all that you do like apart from kind of what you're working on?
Yes, of course, I play many games. Right? On a professional standpoint, I play pretty much everything that is released. You know, I see games in two categories. Most games are in the categories of toys. They don't have any depth, don't have any meaning. It's just a nice way to spend time. So when you stop playing, they don't leave anything after you played. It's just like, okay, I played, enjoyed it, stop. End of story. And there are games that are more creative ambition, maybe, and try to tell something or make you feel something. And this is a very rare category, to be honest with you, but this is the one I got the most interest in.
Are there any particular games that have inspired you like that?
Yeah, you know, it's games that are very different from what we try to achieve with Heavy Rain, but games like Ico or Shadow of the Colossus or even Katamari Damacy or Rez or Flowers recently were very interesting experiences. They are very different from Heavy Rain, but these are people trying different things that are original, ambitious, with a different idea in mind. And I have a lot of respect for these people trying new things, much more than for people doing the same things over and over again. I mean, it's time for this industry to invent new ideas and new concepts, not just new technologies, new ideas.
I'm also curious, just to kind of go back a little bit to the Taxidermist demo. You've mentioned many times that this is not from the actual game. How expensive was that to kind of put together just for like a development sprint? Did your producer hate you for that?
No, they loved us for that. To be honest with you, this was developed based on a request from Sony. You know, we have developed a specific pipeline at Quantic, where once the tool chain is in place, where your pipeline production is in place, producing scenes is not that expensive. So producing, it's just a graphic asset, it's just motion capture. It's not that expensive. What is really expensive is the R&D to develop the engine. It's the tools, it's all the stuff to build this factory. But once the factory is in place, producing scenes is not that expensive.
So with that in mind, how far off are we from seeing your next game?
You know what takes the most time now is to write them. And I don't want to start writing games just because, you know, we need to write something and let's do anything. I pay a lot of attention to the stories I want to tell. I try to care for them. You know, this is going to be 2, 3, 4 years of your life, and you need to get excited about it every single morning you wake up and never get bored and always believe in it. So no hurry, but...
Well, but I know you mentioned in a previous interview that you guys have one or at least two other games in development.
It's we have a couple of games in development in my mind, mainly, which is already a lot. And I think people will be surprised by what we're going to do next.
At least a couple years away?
Maybe not.